And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I am a real American.
Good morning, everybody. It's CSAP, your Common Sense American Patriot, here with the Common Sense Politics Show. How is everybody doing today? I hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. We're halfway there. We're almost to the weekend. I can't wait. I'm pretty tired today. It's been a long week because I get up. I'm a family guy. I get up with the kids in the morning, get them ready for school, do all the school stuff, and then I come home, prepare for the podcast and the YouTube show here that I got going on, and then I go to work. And then this week I volunteered at the fair, so I've been at the fair all week until midnight closing, and rinse and repeat and start over. And today, yeah, I'm feeling it a little bit. I'm a little tired. I'm on the tired end today. So hopefully I can knock this out, get the house picked up, and catch a little nap before I have to pick up the kids from school. So let's get into it today. So today I've got Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the leading Democrat right now in the primaries, and this guy can't get a straight sentence together. So I'm going to go over a lot of Joe Biden. Tax cuts. Tax cuts may be around the corner, and that is a great thing. More money for us and less money for the government. That's a win-win, I promise you. And then what's going on in Hong Kong? There's been a bunch of protests. I've been meaning to get to this, and I'm going to explain a little bit of what's going on in Hong Kong and why they are having these massive, massive protests. And then Gavin Newsom is blaming Texas for his homeless problems. I have no words for this guy and how idiotic Gavin Newsom is. Been in office for 22 years, but wants to blame another state for the homeless crisis. So let's get into Joe Biden here. Good old Joe Biden. So in his latest gaffe here, Joe Biden, places King and Kennedy, so Martin Luther King and JFK, assassinations in the late 70s. Problem is, that happened in the 60s. So let's go into what exactly Joe Biden said and what he's been saying the past week. This shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. This is why Obama, when he was president, kept Joe Biden pretty much out of the spotlight as much as he could, because about every time that guy got in the spotlight, he put his foot in his mouth or his hands on somebody that he shouldn't be touching. Touchy, creepy Joe Biden. Losing your mind as well. So here we go. Tuesday evening, when he mentioned two significant events of the 1960s, the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King and Senator Robert F. Kennedy. He was president at the time. Or I might be wrong on that. Senator Kennedy, I think that's JFK. I'm not sure. Tired today. Anyhow, so just like in my generation, we got out of school when Bobby Kennedy and Dr. King had been assassinated in the 70s, when the late 70s when I got engaged, Biden recalls. But King and Kennedy were murdered in 68, about 2 months apart. It was just the latest of a series of slip-ups for the Democratic Party's 2020 presidential frontrunner. Last Friday at the fundraiser in his home state of Delaware, Biden confused Burlington, Iowa with Burlington, Vermont, while trying to remember where he had given campaign speeches. So Joe Biden is clearly... You want to talk about Trump is not there? Joe Biden, he just can't get anything straight. And then he continues to make these gaffes and these mistakes. Earlier this month, Biden said poor kids are just as smart as white kids. And last weekend, he mistakenly said he met with survivors on February 2018 Parkland, Florida, school shooting while vice president, even though he had left office more than a year before the attack. So I remember this one plain as day. He came out and said, yeah, I was the vice president and they didn't want to talk to any of the Congress. They came and talked to us while I was vice president. Well, you weren't even vice president at the time, so how did that happen? And then he continues. He has also confused former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher with Theresa May twice since May. Biden's press secretary told CNN the focus on Biden's blunders is a press narrative, not a voter narrative. I'm going to disagree with that. I would say, everybody makes mistakes. Like I just obviously made one earlier right now on my podcast. But if you have like one of these, like confusing Burlington, Iowa and Burlington, Vermont, Okay, that's going to happen now and then. We're all human beings. We make mistakes, but it's the continuous mistakes that he keeps making. I mean, when you're talking about, obviously, that you were the vice president and these kids from Parkland, Florida came there. I mean, you're like making stuff up at this point, because you would know if you were really there as a vice president. You would know if they didn't really want to talk to Congress, but you're just making things up, or you're really losing, you're getting dementia or something. So this is going to be an interesting play out here, because as the press secretary for Biden says, this is more just a press narrative, not a voter narrative. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say that's partly why Obama hasn't come out and fully supported Biden. Because you got to remember, who's probably going to know Biden the best out of anybody else in this country? Probably Obama, since he was his vice president for 8 years. Obama's going to know everything about Joe Biden. And I have a feeling he has his apprehensions, and that's why he has yet to endorse Biden, his own VP. You would think Obama would come out right away, endorse Biden, get behind him, solidify his lead, solidify him, and just crush the rest of these primaries. He's in tough primaries, but Obama hasn't done that, and I question why. Why has Obama not endorsed his own vice president yet? And I believe this is why. I do believe this is now going to turn into a voter issue, which is going to shake up the entire primaries of the Democratic Party. Joe Biden, to me, to be honest, I really don't want him to win, because he is going to be the toughest competition for Trump. I believe Trump is going to win, but if Biden gets it, I think that's going to be his toughest opponent out of the field right now. Because you got to remember, everybody in the middle, Biden is actually a moderate. He's getting sucked in farther left as the primaries happen, because that's where the primary voters are. They are Elizabeth Warren and Bernie's. But when all the independent moderates who aren't registered Democrats, they're going to more likely vote for Biden than they are an Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders. So Biden is the biggest threat for Trump. However, with all these gaffes and him just not, I mean, he's, like I said, when you talk about the Parkland shooting, you're starting to make stuff up, or you're really that delusional and losing your mind. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go. The next debate should be interesting, because I'm sure he's going to get attacked for all these blunders. I mean, they have to. If you're in the primaries running against Joe Biden, you got to go after him about these things. You cannot let him off. So he's going to get attacked and thrashed by this. I think this is going to start hurting him now. So it's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see what the polls and how the movement of the primaries unfold here in the next couple months, especially if Joe Biden keeps making these mistakes. But I'm happy. Keep making these mistakes, Joe Biden, because you're going to give somebody else a chance. You're dropping the ball. You have the ball right now, and you're dropping it. And so I would be okay with Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, any of these far left extremist Democrats picking up the nomination, because it's going to be that much easier to win when it comes to 2020, because moderate independent voters are not going to be voting for socialism. So that's a win in my book. So thank you, Joe Biden. Keep the blunders coming. You're making my life a whole lot better and making me sleep easier at night, knowing that either two things. You do win the primary, but you're still just having blunders left and right. Or you don't win the primary and we get a far leftist in there running for the Democrat Party, and Trump just is going to walk all over that, because, again, the moderate middle America is not going to vote for socialism, for free this, free that, free everything, and it's not going to work. So thank you, Joe Biden. I'm happy. I appreciate everything you're doing on this campaign trail so far in 2019. Keep it up all the way into 2020, and we are going to have a great 2020. Okay, so on to the next article. So everybody's been talking recessions. So Trump is considering new tax cuts to boost the U.S. economy. President Donald Trump has confirmed he is considering a new temporary payroll, key term there, payroll tax cut to help boost the U.S. economy. Payroll tax is something that we think about, and a lot of people would like to see that. So that's from Donald Trump there, talking about tax cuts. This is a huge win-win situation. Just kind of, I'm going to touch on the fair last night. So I had a great debate with a Democrat. She came up and spoke with me at the fair, and we talked about actually this same issue, tax cuts. And I explained to her, I said, you didn't like the first set of tax cuts, correct? And of course, the Democratic narrative, she said, yes, because all the rich, greedy corporations got the tax cuts. And I made sure to let her know, you got tax cuts too. Your paycheck is bigger now because of Trump's tax cuts. But let me explain to you, and I'm going to explain to everybody else here, why the corporations got big tax cuts. They did. It kind of stinks, of course. I would rather have a bigger tax cut, but the corporations got it too. But here's why. And this is what I explained to the young lady, who was actually very receptive, and I think I planted some seeds. I hope. We'll see. But we had a very nice civil conversation, and I think we both got somewhere. But I was explaining to her, wouldn't you like to have $200 more on your paycheck? And she said, of course, who wouldn't like to have more money? Of course, I want more money too. Everybody wants to have more money. That's why people are mad at the greedy corporations. They want the more money themselves. But I said, what do you do with that extra $200 that you get on your paycheck that you're not expecting? And the typical answer is, I spend it. I have more money to spend. Correct. You are correct. So then I explained to her, what do you think corporations do when they have more money in their bank account, when they have more cash flow, when they can do more things? They spend it. So that's what I explained to her. Why do you think we have such low unemployment right now? Why do you think our economy is booming right now? They're building factories and manufacturing and all these different things. Because they have more money to spend. So yes, the tax cuts, the corporations did get money, but that's how we got to where we are today. The corporations have more cash flow. They're able to expand, operate. They have more money to spend so they can grow their business. That's the whole plan. Now here, Trump, I think, is absolutely nailing it, okay? So he got a bunch of grief because these big bad businesses got the tax cuts, right? So, but they expanded, they grew, all these people have extra jobs. Now, this tax cut that Trump is talking about, that I hope he moves forward with, is payroll taxes. Payroll tax cut. So that means every working American will see the tax cut. So this is going to take away the ammo and the firepower from the Democrats that this evil man's out for the corporations and not for the little man. Absolutely. This will kill that whole talking point. Every working American will get a payroll tax cut. And this is a win-win because you take it away from the Democrats. They don't have a talking point. And now we are giving the government less money and we get to spend our money. We spend our money better than the government ever will. The government is wasteful spending. They waste. So this is a huge win in my book. I hope he pushes forward with it. And everybody that's talking about like, oh, you're just feeding into the recession talk, that's garbage. I do believe the recession talk is garbage, but guess what? I'll holler recession all day, every single day. We are having a recession. We need tax cuts now. I'll scream recession every single day of the rest of my life if it helps push the government to give me my money that I earn on my payroll back to me in payroll tax cuts to boost the economy because we're going into a recession. So I'm going to say it every single day. We're going into a recession, Trump. We need more tax cuts because we need less government. We need to keep our money and we need to spend our money correctly. So that's where I am on the tax cuts. And yeah, it'll be a great thing. Okay, so moving on to Hong Kong, I'm going to play a quick video here. So for the people that just listen on the podcast, this video, when I saw it, gave me the absolute chills. So the protesters in Hong Kong, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of protesters. And I'm going to get into why. But I'm going to play this quick snippet video here. And what it is Hong Kong protesters. This is in Hong Kong, holding the American flag and singing the national anthem of America. So I'm going to play it right here. Here you guys go.
And bright stars through the perilous fight. All the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does the stars sprinkle then I yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the
Okay, so as you guys saw there, so that was
I can't believe
a quick just a quick snippet of those were Hong Kong protesters waving the American flag, singing the national anthem, hoping for their own freedoms. And that is amazing to me. I mean, that just shows, that's what it makes me so sad, is that we have people here in this country that despise our country, that step on our flag, burn our flag, hate our country. And I just can't, I don't understand why, how do you hate this country? The whole world wants to come to this country. Legally, I have no problem with that. But you want to burn the flag of the greatest country in the world. These people are out there protesting to be like us. They want to model our democracy because they are pretty much living under tyranny. And they're out there singing the American national anthem. So I tip my hat. You won me over, Hong Kong protesters, even though when you read about it and you kind of know what's going on, I don't blame them. I don't blame them whatsoever. But it's just a beautiful thing that we are still the pillar, the beacon of freedom in this world. And so that video gave me the chills, the goosebumps the first time I saw it. So what's really going on in Hong Kong? So we'll bring this up here. A guide to what's going on in Hong Kong. So essentially, you can go here. I'm going to have it in my show notes down at the bottom there. It's kind of a long article, but it kind of brings you up to date. But I'm just going to kind of give a quick synopsis of what's going on. So Hong Kong was under British rule territory until 1997, when the British relinquished the rule under some concessions where China had pretty much their fingers and their manipulation tactics of how they are, just with everything. Like China manipulates with us in trade and all kinds of other things. So when they relinquished Hong Kong, they pretty much relinquished it to China's oversight. And so through the past 22 years now, China has just dug their fingers, their tentacles deeper and deeper into Hong Kong. And a law was just about to be passed that was going to easily extradite Hong Kongers into China for crimes committed. It's just essentially, it was a big play for China to pretty much come in and be able to pick people out of Hong Kong at any moment, any time, extradite them to China with no questions asked, and charge them for crimes against China. So that is what set off these new local protests in Hong Kong. And they just want to be they want China out of their whole dealings. And China, like I said, has been encroaching in more and more through the years. And that's where we are with Hong Kong. So Hong Kong essentially just wants to become a democracy and have China get out of their business. And that's essentially there's a lot more to any protest. But that's kind of the gist, this quick synopsis of what's going on. And I support them. And they've been very non-violent protest, which is great. That is how you truly get across and win hearts and minds over. People don't like thugs like Antifa. Like, you have your big crowds of dopey goofballs, but let me tell you, every time you go out there and burn down your cities and tear up things and burn cars and break windows and not let traffic go through, you are losing credibility vastly and quickly. No moderate person in the world, no sane person in the world is going to get behind violent protesters. It's not going to work. And so that's what's great about what's going on in Hong Kong. And that's what's great when you see actually like protest where people are not engaged in violence. You're going to get much more attention that way than if you go down. You're going to get the quick attention right away, but the long-lasting attention and the actual retaining people to support your cause is going to fade very quickly. So good work, Hong Kong. I hope you, just like the rest of the world and everybody else living under dictatorships, tyranny, every human being in this world should have freedom and not be told what to do and how to live their lives and not have anybody infringe on that. And that's why I am a big advocate of less government. We need much less government and more freedoms here in this country, and we're doing pretty good with that. Okay, I'm doing pretty good on time here. Oh boy, I'm tired though. It's been a long day, but I'm putting out work. I'm going, like I said, I'm working at the fair. I'm still doing everything with my family. I'm getting this podcast up and going, which I am enjoying thoroughly. And thank you for all the support. But yeah, it's been a tough week. It's been a long days. So I'll be happy when the weekend comes. Okay, last article I'm gonna go over here, Mr. Gavin Newsom. So I've got another quick clip that I'm gonna play. And then I'm going to discuss this guy and how insane he is. So I'm going to play what he says, and then I'm going to skip forward to this commentator's his outtake on it, his outlook on it, and he nails it. Absolutely nails it. And pretty much puts Gavin Newsom in the corner that he needs to be in. So here we go. Here's the clip.
We're on the street when we left. Vast majority were not from California. By the way, vast majority also coming from, and we know this, from Texas. Just interesting fact.
California's Governor Gavin Newsom blaming Texas for
homeless problem. Really, the challenge in California with the homeless problem really comes down to three things. They make it too difficult and too expensive to build houses. They botch criminal justice reform where they emphasize reducing the prison population rather than improving public safety. And lastly, they're having a tremendous problem dealing with mentally ill people. California has this tremendous issue where they don't want to involuntarily commit people. San Francisco's just started to do that in June. It may make a little bit of a difference and help out. But there's a lot of special interests there that don't want to do that.
Well, I know you're happy in Texas. Thank you so much, Chuck, for joining us.
That was the end of the clip there. This guy nails it. I just got to laugh. Gavin Newsom wants to blame Texas for his own housing crisis. This guy's been in office for 22 years here in California. He's been an elected official for 22 years in California. He was the governor of San Francisco. San Francisco is an absolute dump nowadays. You cannot go to San Francisco. All you see is bums and homeless and trash. It's filthy. It's a nasty. I mean, there's still obviously nice parts of San Francisco, but if you go to the slums where all the bums are, it is a filthy, filth-infested city, and it's sad. California is in an absolute mess. Everybody out there in the nation that does not live in California, we are in a world of trouble here. It is so bad. And I don't know what it's going to take for it to finally swing back to some sanity here. But going back to this guy's talking points, he nailed the three issues. Number one, homelessness in California, because it's so flippin' expensive to live here. You cannot afford anything in California. I mean, I work a full-time job. My wife works 2 full-time jobs, essentially, because she just did a career change. So she's kind of hold on to one job and working another. So she's working... essentially, she's working full-time and part-time, but essentially, so we've got like 2.5 times jobs, 2 full-time jobs, and then she's working part-time at another job, and then I'm trying to do this on the side just to generate some income to pay our bills here in California. It's so expensive. So you have 2 college grads that are working good paying jobs, and we're just getting by. I mean, we're not hurting, that's for sure, but definitely don't have extra money to be thrown around everywhere. So I can only imagine everybody else in this state I know for sure they're struggling. This state is so expensive to live. It's ridiculous. The taxes are nonstop. They keep talking about more and more and more taxes. You get tax here, tax there, tax here, tax there. People cannot live in California, live actually in homes. So that is part of the big homeless crisis, is that nobody can even afford to live here. So all these rents, all these prices, people are getting priced out of their own homes, own rent. They can't rent apartments, so they end up on the street. So that is one of them. Number 2 is the criminal reform that we have done here in California. It's lawlessness. I mean, just yesterday, well, not yesterday, but on Monday, Gavin Newsom just signed a bill pretty much making police second guess themselves if they have to use lethal force here in California, which again is gonna just kill policing. Policing is already getting killed out here. We had Proposition 47 and 57, which early released prison people and then made a bunch of felony crimes misdemeanors, aka don't even deal with it. I mean, you could be caught with heroin and the police are gonna give you a ticket out here if they even want to deal with you. It's so sad. So we have I've talked to officers. They don't want to even get into these ordeals. Like, why go jam somebody up and do some police work, investigative police work, and hitting the streets and trying to prevent crime when you're going to run into some guy who's got drugs? It turns into a fight, and it's a big cluster. Let's put it that way. It's a big cluster, and he gets in a scuffle over a little bit of dope. So now he's got paperwork. He could get put on leave until the investigation goes on, or desk duty. A ton of paperwork for a misdemeanor. So these guys are like, it's not even worth it. So if I go jam this guy up and I get in a hands-on situation, I've just created a nightmare situation for myself, and it's a misdemeanor. And God forbid this guy's attacking me and I have to use lethal force. Now we're in even another bigger mess. Because now Gavin Newsom's going to put the spotlight on me and say, was that justifiable? And we need to criminally charge this police officer because he shot this guy who had drugs on him and attacked the police officer, but he didn't need to shoot him and kill him. Do you see what I'm saying? So why are officers going to go out there and actually do active police work? I don't blame you guys. I don't blame you. Look I have my back the blue. The thin blue line flag up because I support you guys 100%, but I don't blame you. I don't blame you whatsoever. I wanted to be a police officer and it just didn't work out. I had some injuries and just never was able to get there. But I'm almost glad I didn't go that path because your guys' job is so ridiculously hard. You're disrespected nonstop. I try to always thank you guys. I appreciate your service every time I see you because your job literally sucks. I'm just going to say it. You guys get no help from anybody. The government is cracking down on you. You know, it's just a sad time where our society is. So the police can't even police anymore out here in California. So lawlessness. So these guys, I mean, you walk through a parking lot and there's people trying to sell drugs to you. Well, you walk through a parking lot going into grocery stores. It's disgusting here. I mean, but these grocery stores, these public places, all these businesses can't get rid of these people. You call the police out here and it's a 3-hour wait. We'll be there in 3 hours. Well, the guy selling drugs in my parking lot is going to be gone in 3 hours, I'm sure. I mean, you can't even get a police response unless there's an actual shooting or some violent crime happening. And even then, he's going to go to jail and be released early because Gavin Newsom doesn't want prisoners in jail. Violent criminals are getting released onto the California streets. Like the stabbing that happened out here, like the guy that went on the stabbing rampage and killed, I believe, 2 or 3 people. He was one of those early release people from prisons. Like, what is going on here in California? Why voters, please, like this is like the young lady I was talking to last night, the Democrat. I said, listen, don't, I know everybody gets upset with Trump. Trump ruffles a lot of feathers, okay? Take Trump out of the equation. What I want you to do is look at these propositions. Do you want violent murderers back on the street? Do you want drugs to be completely decriminalized, essentially? It's a misdemeanor. Nobody's even going to jail, so drugs are rampant. Do you like that? Do you like all the homeless people on the street corners with needles and everything else? She's like, of course not. I can't stand the homeless problem and all these drug users and the needles everywhere. Okay, well, you have to look at some of these propositions you voted for. If you voted for Proposition 47 and 57, you have contributed to this and you didn't even know because you were told as a Democrat that's the way you vote. So I said, take Trump, and that's what I tell everybody. Take Trump out of the equation. Take party politics out of the equation. Don't say you're a Democrat. Don't say you're a Republican. Read the policy. We're going to increase taxes. We're going to be paying about 40 cents more a gallon in taxes on gas. Do you want to pay 40 cents for every gallon on gas? Hell no. Then don't vote for it. But people are pressured into voting for their party lines or wherever and especially on the left. So that's what I like to tell everybody. Stop with the identity politics. Stop with I'm a Democrat, I must vote Democrat. I'm a Republican, I must vote Republican. We need to stop doing that, and especially on the left, because you guys, there's an immense amount of pressure on you guys out there on the left that if you break party lines, then you're ostracized. Guess what? Everybody over here is arms wide open. And even if we don't fully agree on everything, we're going to agree to disagree, but I want you to vote your heart. If you believe you don't want to pay 40 extra cents on a gallon of gas every time you go to the pump, don't vote for it. Don't vote for it just because that's the Democratic vote and you're supposed to vote for that. Because Gavin Newsom is supporting it and he is a Democrat, so you're supposed to vote that way. Don't do that. That's why we're in this mess. You're being told to vote these certain ways, and then now you're in trouble and you hate it. But you're not reading what is actually how this is affecting your life. You know, I talked to her, another good point I talked to her about is you're upset about the wall, because she brought up she's the separating of the children, yada, you know, the normal talking points, and all these people want is just a better life, and etc., etc. And I said, I get that. I understand why these people are coming over here. I said, but how does it make sense that here in California we have millions of people on the streets homeless? We have rundown poor communities. Unemployment for black is still high here. We have, you know, the ghettos, the inner cities that need massive help. And I asked her, I said, so why is Gavin Newsom giving illegal immigrants millions of dollars for free health care, yet we have all these people on the street that can't get health care? And that's touching on the last point of this guy's thing. So we have housing prices, violence, and criminals, because there's an anti-police rhetoric out here in California. And then we have mental illness. We have millions of people on the street. Our inner cities, they can't get any kind of health insurance. They're running rampant. I mean, that's part of the reason why there's a huge pregnancy issue. And we talk about Planned Parenthood and abortions. If we could get more health care into these inner cities, these poor people that are trying to work and make a living here in California, that's already astronomical prices, they can't afford health insurance. But we're going to go give it to illegal immigrants. We're going to give health insurance to illegal immigrants who haven't contributed to society here in America one day. One day. Yes, they'll pay some taxes on their sales tax because they're getting paid under the table. But that doesn't touch anything to the amount of taxes they use. They use like 30% taxes and they only pay like 8% when it comes to sales tax. However, you've had these people living here in America their entire lives, trying to make a better life for themselves, trying to get out of the slums, trying to get out of the hoods, but they can't. Because the government turns around and takes healthcare, mental health, all these different programs we could be helping these people with, and we're going to give it to illegal immigrants. California is so ass backwards. Please, I beg you, any moderate, any independent, take Trump out of the equation, because that just ruffles feathers right off the bat. So take Trump out of the equation. Take party lines out of the equation, and please start reading these policies. Start educating yourself on how these things affect your lives. Look at Gavin Newsom. He's taking money from American people who need insurance, need health benefits, need education, need different things. Then we won't even have an abortion problem if we can have these people have health insurance that can actually go and get reproductive measures, birth control, other things, because they have health insurance. They can see a doctor, get these things. But yeah, we're going to give it to illegal aliens who haven't done anything for this country yet, to this day, while we have millions of starving children here. Stop it. Read the policies. Read what these guys are really about. How about help Americans? That's my call to action to you. Anybody that leans left, anybody in the center, just start reading the policies. Forget Donald Trump. Forget party lines. Read what these measures and how you are being lied to. Americans are suffering because of the way we are voting. That's all I got for you guys today. I love you guys. I love this country. And that's why I'm willing to work all the way till midnight and wake up at 6 a.m. every day, because I want to get the facts out, what the mainstream media will not tell you. And I want everybody in this country to succeed. So I hope we get some payroll tax cuts so we all have money to spend. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Love you guys. See you later. Thank you for watching my show today. If you've missed any other episodes, you can check them out right there. You can also follow me on Facebook, or you can follow me right there on Twitter. Share me and help me get my reach as far as we can, because we are going to keep America great.